There's no law against being an is the thing. And I think one thing that's interesting about that case, not just from a kind of like how did he win perspective, but from a sort of business and power perspective, is I think that is what unleashes, Elon Musk in a big way. It's what gives Elon permission, not just legal permission, but maybe cultural permission to sort of go wild on Twitter, which ultimately led to his acquisition of Twitter, to his embrace of these kind of extreme political.
Money has a strange way of losing its meaning. Once people reach a certain level of success, and when numbers stop feeling real, purpose starts slipping away for the world's richest figures. That emptiness often pushes them into bizarre. When the cash stacks so high it stops feeling real, something shifts inside a person. For the ultra-rich, the thrill fades fast. The scoreboard keeps climbing, but the excitement flatlines. That's when things get strange. Some billionaires try to fill that gap with charity work. Others chase attention like it's oxygen. And a few just stay locked in non-stop drama because sitting still feels impossible. When you've already bought everything, what's left to chase? Snap. But when it comes to billionaires searching for meaning and slowly coming undone, nobody has done it quite like Elon Musk.
One of the kids said to him, "Look at the moon, it's 1 billion miles away." And he said, "Well, no, it's actually under 250,000 miles away." And they said, "Oh, Elon."
His rise has been loud, flashy, and impossible to ignore. Every move feels bigger than life. Yet somehow, it doesn't feel like he crossed a finish line. It feels like he's stuck running the same track over and over, chasing something that keeps moving further away. After building giants like Tesla and SpaceX, Musk stacked a net worth reported to exceed $500 billion. That kind of money puts him in a lane almost no human has ever touched. Some even say he could become the world's first trillionaire. Sounds legendary, right? But at that height, the air gets thin. The higher you go, the fewer people standing next to you.
Positions.
They're blackmailing me with advertising? Blackmail me with money? Go yourself. Go yourself. Is that clear?
Outside of business, Musk reshaped his image into something bigger than just a CEO. He branded himself as a free speech crusader, an innovation savior, the guy ready to push humanity forward no matter the cost. With impulsive tweets and non-stop ambition, he locked himself into tech history as loud, untouchable, and impossible to ignore. His supporters hype him up as a visionary genius, a real-life Tony Stark. But right behind that superhero image, controversy stays glued to his shadow. Former employees and insiders tell a very different story.
Started out as a joke, and we decided to make it real.
Does anybody tell you no? Does anybody go, Elon, maybe for yourself, but selling a flamethrower, the liabilities, all the people you're selling this device to, what kind of unhinged people are going to be buying a flamethrower in the first place? Do we really want to connect ourselves to all these potential arsonists?
They argue he hasn't earned all the praise thrown his way. Some claim credit was taken where it wasn't due. Others point to harsh worker treatment, intense pressure, aggressive business tactics, and his sudden jump into political debates. Everywhere he moves, drama seems to follow. Critics even question whether the world would feel calmer with less of his influence steering public conversations. Over time, Elon has shared stories about a difficult childhood. His father, Elon Musk, had a history of domestic violence and is widely viewed as far from a healthy role model. The home environment was unstable, no doubt about it. Still, despite that tension, Elon grew up with significant financial comfort and access to opportunity.
Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, is being accused of committing securities fraud by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
That he's sold over 20,000 already, and a lot of it, I'm guessing, is just investment to boring companies.
You just have to put in, 80 to 100-hour weeks every week.
That mix of chaos and privilege shaped more than people realize. His father owned a profitable emerald mine in the 80s, and his mother was a successful model, so the family was never struggling. Money wasn't some distant dream in that house. They had resources, connections, and options that most people around them simply didn't. The story often points out that the family had enough cash to travel internationally and enroll Elon and his siblings in some of the top schools in South Africa. That kind of setup was not average back then. It wasn't basic living. In one story that keeps coming up, Elon reportedly cried for days trying to convince his father to buy him a motorbike, and eventually, Errol gave in and bought it
If I
for
were
him.
an employee at Twitter right now, I'd probably just do your job. Don't let them know your name.
Never boring. And look, I think this is a big win for Twitter. Yeah, he's brilliant. He sees the future. He's a driver. Look, for sure, he's a bit temperamental and a
If I
rascal.
were an employee at Twitter right now, I'd probably just do your job. Don't let them know your name.
That detail hits different. It shows access and comfort, not scraping by to survive. Let's be real. South Africa in the 80s was dealing with serious economic and political instability. Private education, overseas trips, and expensive toys were not normal for most families. That lifestyle had a name: privilege. Yet in recent years, Musk has strongly pushed back against claims that he grew up wealthy, rejecting that label completely. That clash between the public record and his own narrative keeps people talking. He has repeatedly denied that his father was involved in an emerald mine. He even called the whole story completely made up. At one point, he challenged people to prove the mine ever existed, brushing it off like it was just internet fiction. According to him, the entire emerald mine narrative was exaggerated, twisted, and flat out false.
PayPal, I decided I wanted to get back into electric vehicles and make something happen in that arena, particularly since GM had come out with the EV1, and I thought, okay, well, there's not really a need for a startup company to develop electric cars because obviously GM is going to create the EV2 and the EV3. So I thought, okay, well, we've got to try to create an electric car company.
He made it sound like critics just ran with a rumor and turned it into a headline. But here's where it gets messy. In a 2014 interview, Musk spoke very differently. In that conversation, he openly referenced his father's involvement in the emerald business and described it like it was a real part of his upbringing. That earlier version doesn't line up with the strong denials that came later. It's a clear contradiction, and people noticed fast. After Musk started distancing himself from the story, that interview reportedly became harder to find online. That only added more suspicion. When something disappears right after the narrative changes, it raises eyebrows and sparks even more questions. For a long time, no major outlet really pressed him on the contradiction. The topic just drifted out of the spotlight, like nobody wanted to poke it too hard. Then, Elon Musk stepped up and publicly confirmed that he had owned a share in an emerald mine and held serious assets, including a private plane. That's not small talk money. That's real wealth. That revelation didn't match the image of a man barely scraping by or struggling to support his family. So it naturally raises a question. Why deny a comfortable upbringing unless there's something about it you don't want examined too closely? According to Errol, the wealth was there. At the same time, the home environment was unstable and tense, which adds another complicated layer to the story. Money and peace don't always live in the same house. At this stage, it's clear Elon didn't start from zero. No matter how many times that storyline gets repeated, it doesn't fully line up with the facts.
Always supportive, from the beginning, but he wasn't the founder in the sense of he wasn't, we started it.
Well, I mean, this is one of the things that I found kind of fascinating about him is that he's actually accomplished some amazing things in his own right.
He's totally amazing.
Yeah, SpaceX is amazing, and he's done some interesting things with Tesla for sure. I'm not sure why he has to also say that he was a founder when he wasn't. I don't understand that.
No.
Claims that his entire career was funded by emerald money are likely exaggerated, but denying any advantage at all just creates more doubt, especially when there's strong evidence he worked relentlessly for over 3 decades to build his empire. The pushback feels unnecessary and only keeps the controversy alive. Yet this pattern of bending the truth keeps popping up across his career. In several situations, it wasn't just exaggeration. He flat out denied reality, even when receipts were already out there. One of the clearest examples ties back to 2 engineers, Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. They shared a bold vision of building a cleaner future, which pushed them to design a fully electric car and officially launched Tesla in 2003. Their mission was simple but risky: bring electric vehicles into the mainstream long before the big auto giants were ready to gamble on it. In 2004, Elon Musk stepped in and invested $7.5 million of his own money. That move made him the largest shareholder and earned him the role of chairman. His money and influence absolutely helped shape what Tesla would become, no question about that. But the groundwork, that was already in motion before he arrived. When asked about Tesla's origins, Elon often told the story in a way that made it sound like he created the company himself. He would speak about the early days while leaving Martin and Mark completely out of the picture. This wasn't just a one-time mix-up. It turned into a long-running narrative that led many people to believe he was the sole founder. For more than a decade, that version stuck around until the original creators publicly stepped forward to set the record straight and challenge the story head-on. By then, the damage was already done and the myth had locked itself in. Once the public buys into a story, it's hard to undo it. That kind of omission might seem small if it came from an average person, but from someone with massive influence and global reach, that's different. Elon isn't just tweeting ideas into the void. He's pushing products that shape everyday life, from transportation to communication and beyond. When delays stack up, timelines keep shifting, and bold quality claims don't match what people actually see, trust starts to crack. And trust is everything at that level. Instead of slowing down and tightening the message, he kept throwing out aggressive release dates and hyping up features that weren't fully ready. That pattern led to repeated, very public setbacks that played out in real time. Yeah, right. The whole armored glass pitch felt pointless from the jump. This was supposed to be a work truck, and a work truck is expected to actually perform like one. That's the baseline: strength, durability, real-world toughness. But instead of locking in on pure utility, the presentation leaned hard into flashy gimmicks that didn't really boost performance where it counted. Even Elon himself pointed out certain features like they were game changers, yet when the truck was stacked up against others in the same price range, the results felt underwhelming. Tough testing conditions or not, the gap between the promise and the reality was hard to ignore. The bigger problem is that Elon's habit of exaggeration isn't just loud marketing. In some cases, it creates real risks.
It's not a good idea
for people who
to
take
leave
those
the
claims
office
seriously.
when there are like a lot of major things underway which are causing people a great deal of stress. But it was a combination of needing to raise money, and I had not gotten married earlier that year and not had any vacation or honeymoon or anything, so it was kind of a combined financing trip / honeymoon.
Yeah.
And and anyway, we were away for 2 weeks, and there was just so much. There was just a lot of worry, and that caused the management team to decide that I wasn't the right guy to run the company.
That concern has followed Tesla since the rollout of autopilot, a system marketed as advanced self-driving tech. Federal regulators have linked hundreds of crashes and multiple deaths to incidents involving its use. That's not small talk. That's serious. With near unlimited resources at his disposal, most people would expect fast fixes, clear communication, and strong accountability. Instead, the response has often come off as defensive or dismissive, which only deepens public doubt. And that doubt sticks. It's one reason some people hesitate when he introduces new inventions, even though certain ideas genuinely show promise, especially in areas that could improve accessibility and overall quality of life. When the track record shows repeated, over-promising and weak follow-through, skepticism doesn't come out of nowhere. It makes sense. Many critics argue that Elon avoids full responsibility by leaning into a playful, almost childish public image. That persona can soften backlash and make mistakes look like quirky missteps instead of serious miscalculations. For years, that strategy seemed to work, but at the same time, it built up quiet frustration behind the scenes. That same pattern has also been tied to business decisions that left employees and partners handling the fallout. In an ACNBC interview, Tesla's original founders admitted that working with Elon wasn't smooth. Beyond his technical input, they described his behavior after joining the company as disruptive and difficult. That testimony added another visible crack in the carefully built myth, especially after a series of quiet but questionable internal shifts. Mark and Martin were eventually pushed out of the very company they helped create. That twist changed the power structure completely and reshaped the story the public had been told. One moment that really stands out happened in 2006. The New York Times ran an article about Tesla that credited the original founders but didn't mention Elon at all. That detail hit hard. The omission clearly didn't sit well with him. Soon after the article went live, Elon reportedly sent a sharply worded email to the founders expressing how upset he was about the coverage. He said he felt insulted and embarrassed, pointing out that not only was his name missing, but Martin was even referred to as the chairman. From his perspective, that crossed a line and publicly minimized his role. He made it clear that if something like that happened again, the relationship with Tesla should be considered over, even if it meant walking away from a multi-million-dollar partnership over a single news article. That's a serious stance to take over press coverage. Not long after that exchange, Mark and Martin were voted out of the very company they helped build. While there's no confirmed proof that Elon directly orchestrated their removal, the timing caught attention and sparked a wave of speculation that hasn't fully faded. Martin later filed a lawsuit accusing Elon of defamation, slander, and breach of contract. He claimed Musk pushed false narratives and intentionally tried to erase his role in Tesla's founding. That's a serious accusation. Not long after Martin's departure, Elon stepped into the CEO role himself. The timing made the whole situation feel even more questionable, like the power shift happened fast and without hesitation. The lawsuit eventually ended in an undisclosed settlement. No detailed terms were released, and no one involved publicly broke down what really happened behind closed doors. That silence spoke loudly. When major legal battles end quietly, people start connecting their own dots. Some wondered whether money, legal pressure, or strategic leverage helped keep the details sealed.
Terrible. Shouldn't buy one. I said don't buy this flamethrower. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. That's what I said. But still people bought it.
Yeah,
there's
they're not gonna
nothing I
listen.
could do to stop them.
It's you
I
build
could
it,
not
they will
stop
come.
them. I said don't buy it. It's a bad idea.
How many did you make?
It's dangerous. It's wrong. don't buy it. Still people bought it. I just couldn't stop them.
How many did you make?
20,000.
And they're all gone.
In 4 days? They sold out in 4 days.
With Elon's level of wealth and influence, few observers believe anything was completely off the table if his image was on the line. And this wouldn't be the last time his leadership decisions raised eyebrows. In another chapter of his career, his own choices would eventually lead to him being removed as CEO of one of his companies, adding yet another twist to an already complicated track record. Taking extended vacations while his companies were dealing with serious internal problems only reinforced the image of someone stepping back instead of facing issues head-on. That perception stuck. Some even argued that operations sometimes felt calmer when he wasn't in the room, because his presence had a pattern of either fixing everything fast or throwing the whole system into chaos. There rarely seemed to be a middle ground. Then, there were the bizarre business plays, like suddenly selling flamethrowers through his construction startup, The Boring Company. On paper, it sounded ridiculous. A tunneling company pushing handheld flamethrowers? It made zero practical sense. But by that point, one thing was clear. If Elon believed in an idea, he was going to launch it, no matter how strange it looked or how loud the backlash got. He had a habit of skating close to legal gray zones without flinching. The flamethrower stunt sold around 20,000 units in a short window, pulling in roughly $10 million almost overnight. It wasn't essential, it wasn't practical, but it grabbed attention and moved fast. As if that wasn't wild enough, shortly after selling out the flamethrowers, Elon introduced another product, a perfume reportedly meant to smell like burnt hair. The concept felt random and uncomfortable, and the explanation behind it was vague. That mystery only deepened the confusion and had people seriously questioning the thought process behind it. Some critics argued this was just another slick way to funnel attention and money back into The Boring Company, turning loyal fans into paying customers under the cover of a joke. Others saw it differently. They believed it was one big troll move, a bold flex to prove he could sell almost anything to his audience if he wrapped it in hype and humor. Either way, it kept his name buzzing. Checking out the website didn't clear up the confusion. The layout felt unserious, packed with strange slogans and sarcastic descriptions that made the whole thing look like an April Fool's prank instead of a real launch. And yet, despite the odd presentation, the perfume reportedly pulled in around $2 million. That's the power of attention. Hype alone carried it across the finish line. By now it was obvious Elon thrived on juggling multiple ventures at the same time. That non-stop grind turned him into a symbol for hustle culture and productivity-obsessed corners of the internet. People celebrated the work ethic without always asking what it cost behind the scenes. But employees and insiders have described a colder reality. Some said he came off distant and low on empathy. While he grew up with financial stability, that comfort existed alongside emotional instability. A harsh father who doubted him, and years of bullying at school reportedly left deep scars. His childhood is often described as deeply traumatic, and some believe those early wounds still echo through his leadership style today. That trauma is often pointed to as one reason for the detached behavior people still notice today. During one violent incident at school, a group of kids reportedly piled on him, hitting and kicking him repeatedly in the head. It was brutal. By the time it stopped, his face was so swollen it barely looked human, and his eyes were almost impossible to see. The physical injuries eventually healed, but the emotional impact ran much deeper. What made it even more painful, according to accounts, was that his father reportedly sided with the student who attacked him, offering support instead of protection. There's never been a clear public explanation for that reaction. After Elon was discharged from the hospital and came home, the tension didn't ease up. Reports claim his father lashed out, forcing him to stand there for nearly an hour while being yelled at and insulted. He was called an idiot, told he was worthless, and treated without compassion. Growing up in that kind of environment can shape someone in lasting ways. Some believe it created a constant drive to prove himself and chase approval at any cost. That intense work ethic people praise today may come with a heavy downside, especially when validation becomes the fuel behind every decision. In some countries, the expectations he sets would push right up against labor law limits. That's how intense they sound. Elon has publicly argued that pressure only turns into abuse when it's forced. According to him, he makes the standards clear from day one and gives employees the choice to decide if they can handle it. In his view, nobody is trapped. You either sign up for the grind or you step aside. After acquiring Twitter in 2022, he didn't sugarcoat what was coming. He warned staff about the level of intensity they should expect. Then he sent a company-wide email that felt more like an ultimatum than a pep talk. He wrote, "We will need to be extremely hardcore. This will mean working long hours at high intensity only. Exceptional performance will constitute a passing grade. If you want to be a part of the new Twitter, click yes." Anyone who didn't click yes by the deadline was offered 3 months of severance. The impact was immediate and dramatic. Around 30% of employees chose to leave right away, and nearly half of the workforce was later laid off. The people who stayed were told remote work was no longer an option, forcing everyone back into a strict in-office setup almost overnight. That kind of sudden shift sent a clear message about who was in charge. This leadership style might produce fast results, but it also builds a high-pressure, high-stress environment. Critics argue the expectations often come off as cold and lacking empathy. The tone felt less like collaboration and more like survival of the fittest. Elon has publicly joked about possibly being on the autism spectrum, a condition that can influence communication style and social connection. However, experts consistently warn that medical conditions should never be used to justify harmful workplace behavior. Later, his mother clarified that he was never formally diagnosed as a child. Diagnosis or not, many observers agree on one thing. He has often struggled to connect smoothly with people, both online and offline. That disconnect has shown up in personal relationships too. During an argument with one of his ex-wives, he reportedly ended the exchange with a cutting remark that left a lasting sting. No partner ever wants to hear words like that. During an argument, he reportedly told her, "If you were my employee, I would fire you." He then followed it up by calling her a moron and an idiot. There was no laugh, no wink, no hint of sarcasm. The tone was described as cold, dismissive, and deeply personal. That kind of statement cuts deep, especially in a marriage. Another ex-wife later came to his defense, saying he simply communicates differently. According to her, he processes ideas in a very literal and intense way that most people struggle to understand. That explanation gave some context, but it didn't erase the pattern. The fact that she also became an ex added more weight to the idea that this wasn't just misunderstood genius. It looked more like a recurring issue in how he connects with people. That same lack of social awareness has often shown up online. Over the years, Elon's tweets have swung from awkward to outright reckless. One of the most talked about personal moments was his decision to give his child an unconventional name, something his mother later described as very on brand for him. For a long time, his sharp online comments didn't seem to bring serious consequences.
To be totally frank, it's actually just a roofing torch with an air rifle cover. It's not a real flamethrower. And also we're told that various countries would ban shipping of it, but they would ban flamethrowers. So to solve this problem for all the customs agencies, we labeled it not a flamethrower.
That shifted when he became involved in a $190 million defamation lawsuit after calling a cave diver a deeply offensive term during a heated exchange. The case was eventually dismissed in court, and Elon was represented by high-profile attorney Alex Spiro, known for working with celebrities like Jay-Z and Kim Kardashian. Even though he won legally, the moment added another controversial chapter to his public record. With that level of legal firepower behind him, Musk has walked away from multiple courtroom battles, and almost every time the ending left people with more questions than clarity. The wins didn't always feel clean, they felt strategic. In 2018, one single tweet about Tesla's stock price set off a chain reaction that pulled in federal regulators. The message triggered serious scrutiny and raised concerns about possible market manipulation. Suddenly, the SEC was involved, and the situation escalated fast. What started as a post online turned into a major legal headache. Just days later, Musk settled the case without admitting any wrongdoing. Both he and Tesla were fined $20 million each, and he agreed to step down as chairman for 2 years. When you compare that to the heavy penalties that can come with securities fraud cases, many observers saw the outcome as surprisingly light. It closed the case, but it didn't quiet the critics. Later that same year, Musk faced sexual misconduct allegations involving a SpaceX flight attendant, adding another serious headline to an already long list of controversies. The situation quickly drew national attention. According to the woman's account, Musk allegedly exposed himself during a private massage session on a company flight, and then offered to buy her a horse if she agreed to go beyond the scope of her professional duties. She says she refused. After that refusal, she claimed her work opportunities at SpaceX declined, with fewer shifts and limited chances for advancement. She believed the change was retaliation. She reported the incident to Human Resources and indicated she was considering legal action. Not long after, Musk reportedly agreed to a $250,000 settlement to resolve the matter without going to court. At the time, The agreement kept the issue out of public view. The story did not become widely known until 2022, when she chose to speak publicly about it. The delay led some observers to question the timing and credibility of the allegations, while others argued that private settlements often prevent stories from surfacing sooner. Either way, the claims added to the growing wave of scrutiny surrounding him. Then, in early 2025, his former girlfriend filed a lawsuit seeking custody arrangements for their children, placing his personal life back under public focus. Around the same period, Musk was also deposed in a defamation lawsuit after accusing a Jewish man online of being a neo-Nazi. Each new case kept his name tied to legal conflict, blending business power with deeply personal controversy. Once again, legal trouble followed his public statements. By now, the pattern felt familiar. A bold comment would spark backlash, headlines would explode, and then the legal machinery would start moving. Many of these cases ended up either quietly settled or dismissed altogether. With the steady presence of his high-powered attorney, Alex Spiro, Musk often walked away without major visible damage. That legal shield reinforced a growing belief among critics that consequences seem to hit differently when you operate at his level of wealth and influence. Musk's fixation on freedom, especially free speech, became central to his next big move. After repeatedly criticizing Twitter for what he saw as censorship, he announced plans to buy the platform outright. He publicly stated, "I invested in Twitter as I believe in its potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe, and I believe free speech is a societal imperative for a functioning democracy." That declaration turned a tech acquisition into something much bigger than business. It became ideological. He later claimed the company was no longer capable of living up to its free speech mission and offered to buy 100% of it. After branding himself as a defender of open dialogue, what happened next caught many observers off guard. When Elon finalized the $44 billion purchase of Twitter in 2022, he doubled down on the narrative that he was rescuing the platform. He argued that Twitter's San Francisco culture had pushed it toward a narrow political agenda, and he positioned himself as the one ready to reset the balance. That framing set the stage for sweeping internal changes. What made the whole shift feel surprising is that for more than 30 years, Elon had built his public identity around saving humanity and advancing civilization. His mission always sounded bigger than politics, bigger than profits, even bigger than Earth itself. So when his focus suddenly locked onto political bias and speech battles, a lot of people paused. At first, the changes didn't seem extreme. He restored banned accounts and promised a platform where open discussion could thrive. On the surface, that sounded fair, but the data raised new questions. Before Elon's takeover, Twitter reportedly complied with about 42 to 50% of government content removal requests. After the acquisition, that number was said to rise sharply, reportedly averaging around 98.8% during a certain period. That shift complicated the free speech narrative fast. And beyond politics, one early internal decision drew serious attention, as engineers were reportedly instructed to adjust the algorithm in ways that sparked even more debate. Engineers were reportedly told to adjust the system so his tweets would show up at the top of users' feeds. Reports claimed this move came after he noticed that President Biden's account was getting more engagement than his own. That detail alone set off alarms. It didn't stop there. When critics publicly highlighted the alleged algorithm changes, several accounts were suspended. Some individuals were even hit with lawsuits, though those cases were later dismissed by a federal judge. Once that happened, many observers argued the legal action looked more like an attempt to silence criticism than protect the platform. In practice, critics said he went from accusing Twitter of acting like a political megaphone to reshaping it in a way that amplified his own voice. Rumors spread quickly that the takeover may have been about more than just improving the platform. Some speculated it tied into broader political influence ahead of the 2024 election. Musk never clearly confirmed or denied those theories, but public perception shifted again after reports showed he donated over $298 million to support his preferred candidate. Not long after, he was appointed to a newly created government role. That sequence of events intensified debate. At that point, many people struggled to separate whether his moves were rooted in public interest or expanding personal power.